Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 18th of November. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes 5-day Australia tour. Don't target militants, not dangerous to Pakistan, says National Security Advisor. And India's Kashmir Valley turns a crimson bed, drawing tourists. And now for all the details. Narendra Modi on Tuesday became the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Australian Parliament. The Premier, who concluded his 5-day tour to Australia, also wooed Aussie companies to invest in India.
Narendra Modi paid respects at the Australian War Memorial in Canberra on Tuesday. The Indian Prime Minister held one-on-one talks with his Australian counterpart Tony Abbott. The two countries entered into 5 bilateral deals on tourism, exchange of sentenced prisoners, social security, combating narcotics trafficking and support in the field of arts and culture. Both the leaders agreed on enhancing economic cooperation and an early closure to the civil nuclear agreement entered between India and Australia.
We have agreed to speed up negotiations on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. I also asked for easier access for Indian business to the Australian market and quicker investment approvals. We also agreed on seeking early closure on the civil nuclear agreement, which will give Australia a chance to participate in one of the most secure and safe nuclear energy programs in the world.
Prime Minister Modi also addressed the joint session of the Australian Parliament. Addressing the lawmakers there, he said Australia has an increasingly important role in India's policy making. He also visited Melbourne, the final round of his stay in the country, to interact with Australian CEOs. Prime Minister Modi said his government is committed to upgrade industrial infrastructure in India.
To upgrade manufacturing infrastructure, the government is setting up world-class investment and industrial regions along the dedicated freight corridors and industrial corridors. We are also planning to build 100 smart cities equipped with world-class amenities.
Before concluding his tour, Modi visited the 116-year-old Melbourne cricket ground and attended the farewell dinner hosted by Prime Minister Abbott. The two premiers posed for cameras with the 2015 World Cup trophy along with Indian cricketing legends Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev. Speaking from the scheduled venue of the 2015 Cricket World Cup finale, Modi expressed his wish to see India and Australia squaring off.
This will be a deserving venue for the Cricket World Cup Finals 2015. I hope that our two teams will play that match.
After completing his Australia trip, Prime Minister Modi will fly to Fiji for the last leg of his 10-day 3-nation tour.
At least 2 security officials were killed in a suicide bomb blast in Afghanistan on Tuesday. The attack took place in Pule Charki district in the outskirts of capital Kabul. Investigators said the target of the attack was a foreign army base, which was rammed by a bomb-laden car early in the morning. The Afghan Taliban has claimed responsibility for the blast. The insurgents, which were ousted from power in 2001 by the NATO invasion, have regularly been carrying out targeted attacks on both foreign and national forces ahead of the US and NATO troops' withdrawal from the war-torn country by the end of this year. Pakistan should refrain from targeting militant groups which are not hostile to the country. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's advisor, National Security, Sartaj Aziz, has said. Aziz added that the fight against the Afghan Taliban is Kabul's concern.
Pakistan seems to be continuing with its silent support to friendly militant groups within its territory which are fighting against neighboring India, Afghanistan and Iran. National Security Advisor Sartaj Aziz on Monday cited that Pakistan should not target terrorists who do not threaten his country's security.
कुछ लोग हमारे लिए थ्रेट बन गए और कुछ हमारे लिए थ्रेट नहीं बने, वो हमारे साथ ठीक, तो हम सबको क्यों दुश्मन बनाएं? जो लोग हमारे खिलाफ थे उनके खिलाफ जो टीटी पर बन गई उनके खिलाफ हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं। लेकिन हमने ये जो बात थी कि हम वो जो उनके खिलाफ हैं वो हमारे सरजमीन से ऑपरेट ना करें।
Aziz said Pakistan does not have the same level of contact it had with the Afghan Taliban in the 1990s. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif had extended support towards peace dialogue between Afghanistan and the Taliban during Afghan President Ashraf Ghani's visit to Islamabad on Saturday. Aziz said the enemies of the US have become Pakistan's enemies too for no reason. Aziz said Kabul and Washington should deal with the threat from the Taliban and the Haqqani network on its own.
जो अमेरिका के दुश्मन है वो खामखा हमारे दुश्मन हो गए, हमारे जो दुश्मन है वो हमारे दुश्मन है, उनके खिलाफ हम कार्रवाई करेंगे। अफगानिस्तान और अमेरिका मिलकर उनके साथ जो करना है, अब 14-13 साल तो जो करना था वो कर।
Pakistan's neighboring countries including India, Afghanistan and Iran have long been accusing Islamabad of harboring militant outfits responsible for mounting terror strikes in the region.
India has the second fastest growing service sector after China in Asia, with a growth rate of about 9% per year. The figures are outperforming the country's GDP growth in the past 13 years. Here is a report.
India's services sector accounts for 57% of Indian GDP. Annually, India exports $151 billion worth of services, but it exports twice as much merchandise. Now the government wants to rebalance that growth by moving up the export value chain.
To create jobs outside the agricultural sector, where people start migrating from the agricultural sector, lessen the level of underemployment in that sector, and move on to manufacturing and services. The real job creation is in the manufacturing sector. And that's why one of our national challenges is that this 15% odd share of manufacturing today has to be increased to 25%. But that's an uphill task. And therefore that leaves us essentially with the services sector, whose growth is a low-hanging fruit in India.
India hopes to bank on high-tech sectors like animation, gaming and designing. But it needs to build a competitive talent pool and a skill development program.
Whether it's film, entertainment, hospitality, wellness, a whole lot of other things, professional services and so on. All of which, over the decades, have on their own, with probably minimum assistance from the government, have shown excellence. They have striven over the decades and established such quality which have given them excellence in international recognition. Most of them are accredited all over the world. So at this stage where it is already contributing substantially to the GDP, and we also recognize untapped potential existing within that sector.
Analysts say one area with a strong potential is tourism. With 9 million foreigners expected to visit India each year by 2020, the government is hoping this will boost consumer spending and foster job creation at home.
National Investigation Agency or NIA on Tuesday arrested a Myanmar citizen from India's southern Hyderabad in connection with the Burdwan blast case. The suspect Khalid Mohammed was living in Telangana with a fake identity. According to reports, he was allegedly involved in making explosives and ran terror camps along the Myanmar-Bangladesh border with links to the Pakistan Taliban. The NIA office in Kolkata was targeted last week after it claimed to be close to cracking the case. Its officials are currently in Bangladesh to probe the blast in Burdwan district of West Bengal. New Delhi is seeking cooperation of Dhaka to unravel the plans of Jamaat al-Mujahideen Bangladesh, responsible for which the attack took place in October, killing 2 suspected terrorists. The banned terror outfit reportedly had plans to assassinate Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, apart from plotting a coup in the country. Islamabad wants a just and fair end to the Kashmir issue. Pakistan High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit, has said. He asserted that the cooperation between the two countries is in the better interest of the region.
Abdul Basit on Monday said the relations between India and Pakistan should not be held hostage on the issue of Kashmir. Speaking in southern Hyderabad, the Pakistani High Commissioner to India expressed regret over the cancellation of talks between the two countries.
Jammu and Kashmir is a dispute, and both our countries recognize that issue, which needs to be resolved. And Pakistan is for a fair and just resolution of that issue.
Efforts to resume dialogue between the two governments, as agreed by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif, suffered a huge setback in August after India backed out following Baset's meeting with Indian separatists, even though India had asked him not to.
The death toll in Pakistan's drought-hit southern Tharparkar province rose to 80 in the past 45 days after 14 new infant deaths were reported due to malnutrition and government apathy in the past 24 hours. The figures continue to rise even a week after Sindh Chief Minister Saeed Qayyum Ali Shah visited Mithi to address the issue. The provincial government has come under intense criticism for its lethargic attitude and mismanagement in tackling the calamity. Tharparkar is being referred to as a graveyard of infants after more than 500 deaths registered in the past 3 years. Several malnourished children continue to struggle to get medical help in various hospitals and pediatric wards of the famine-hit region. It's a golden spell in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir. And with winters knocking at the doors, the picturesque valley has got decked up with the crimson effect, enough to catch the eye of tourists this autumn season.
Tourists flocking the nature's paradise seem to be not getting enough of the sight of chinar trees and its fallen leaves, which have made the provincial capital of Srinagar a sought-after destination. The pictorial view of the trees, which usually change colour from green to crimson, leaving a trail of gold-mellowed leaves on the ground, has left people spellbound. Those who swarmed the tourist hotspot said autumn was the best time to visit Srinagar.
ऑटम का ये सीजन बहुत ही अच्छा है और हम लोग हमेशा मूवीज में ये सीजन देखते रहते हैं, तो आज हम लोग अपने आंखों से ये सीजन देख रहे हैं तो हमें बहुत पसंद आ रहा है और अच्छा लग रहा है. नहीं तो हमेशा स्विट्जरलैंड या मूवीज में ये सीजन देखते रहते हैं, तो आज बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. हमें फ्रेंड्स के साथ आए हैं और हमारा बहुत एंजॉयमेंट यहाँ पे चल रहा है.
The autumn season marks the onset of winters in the Himalayan belt. Tourism industry in Kashmir booms during the holiday season, which begins in the valley from mid-September and goes on till the end of December.
They are known to support social cinema. Take a look at what this star couple is busy endorsing next.
Connoisseurs of good cinema, Amir Khan and Kiran Rao know where to lend their support. After pushing for films like Ship of Theseus, Bollywood's maverick couple held a special screening for After My Garden Grows in entertainment capital Mumbai. The director Megan Mylan also joined in, apart from the film's cast and crew. Mylan has already won an Oscar for her documentary Smile Pinky in 2008. Amir lauded her latest short film based on child marriages in India.
मेरा इंटरेस्ट ये है कि इस फिल्म को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हम प्रमोट करें ताकि लोग इस फिल्म को देखें और समझें कि किस तरह छोटे-छोटे स्तर पे अच्छा काम हो रहा है, जिससे लड़कियों की ज़िंदगी में एक ताकत आ रही है, एम्पावरमेंट आ रही है, और भी लोग ऐसा कर सकते हैं अपने-अपने जगहों पर.
Amir's nephew Imran, along with filmmaker Vidhu Vinod Chopra, attended the screening with their spouses. Actor Kangana Ranaut also took time off to wish the team.
It requires different challenges. I've always enjoyed it a lot. क्योंकि आप 10-15 मिनट के अंदर एक इंटरेस्टिंग एंगेजिंग कहानी बताए लोगों को. Very often there is a twist in the ending. I always find short films, I think, more interesting as an art form.
After My Garden Grows is a story about girl-child marriages in India and tells the story of Monica, a rural Indian teenager growing food to feed her family and the seeds of her own independence in a tiny rooftop garden.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes 5-day Australia tour. Don't target militants, not dangerous to Pakistan, says National Security Advisor. And India's Kashmir Valley turns a crimson bed, drawing tourists.